Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching. Oh, cool. Why are you asking me about dice?
I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
We could, Kim. We could finish that role-playing game. Role-playing games? You know the one made by Fortress Accident? Does that count? Ooh, I like role-playing games. Sure, I like role-playing games. I need some dice.
Very good. My rate is 10 real per set. Unless you want something really unusual.
I can't afford 10 real for some dice.
Take a look around and see if there is any particular stone you want to use.
The walls around here are covered with rows of precious stones and minerals. It almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room, growing out of the shelves like stalagmites. This is weird. Drama, success. No falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need. How did you become a dice maker? How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there. Do you like role-playing games yourself? Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay, and role players as customers, they're nice people. Some of these nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items. Are you referring to whales, perchance? What do you know? Oh, ask about this room. Hey, where are we anyway? What is this place? We're inside the chimney. Oh, is this whole thing the chimney? This is like a massive... It can't be the whole thing, surely. We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. She looks at the ruddy bricks that make up the walls. Even though they've been repainted, there are still signs of coal black soot here and there. So that furnace was like... this big chimney is like some big industrial thing from the past. That would make more sense. I thought it meant like a chimney like this flue is here. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus. Does nobody know you're here? Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse. Creative. The lieutenant looks around in the spacious room, its ceiling fading into shadows above. Do you know what happened to the other tenants? Everyone else is gone. Ooh. Lots of text. More or less. She adjusts the yellow scarf that covers her hair. Are you interested in anyone specific? There used to be a hair salon next to the bookstore. Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit round here. Turns out working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word. A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad. It's not about the haircut. It's about the confidence. I would never let anyone androgynous touch my hair, not even if my life depended on it. Let's do with that. You're right. It looks like you haven't let anyone near your hair in a long time. She tilts her head, looking at your shaggy mane. What happened to the gym downstairs? Oh, I need to get some weightlifting gloves and I can come back and lift that barbell. It wasn't merely a gym. It was... Artemitep's Boxing Club, a community project created to steer at-risk youths away from drugs and crime. And who was Artemitep? And why can't he be called Joe or Bob or Fred or something? A kind man from Zimensk. These names. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym as his way of giving back. Maybe that's what Kuno needs, a community-centric boxing club. Kuno. Her eyes narrow in the dim light. Who's Kuno? He's a little ginger gremlin who likes to defile dead bodies. Oh, yes, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth. Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. She looks out the window. It's oddly quiet there at the moment. I think it'll take more than the gym to help that kid. How did the community project work out? It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumour that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines. Okay, we might have a look at that. You should have known it. Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. I feel like this game is really just story time with Mark, where you guys just listen to me read out the story to you, which actually I wouldn't mind doing that. I think that would be a fun stream in some other ways as well. Some other books. Let's see. What's with all the debris in the hallway? So many broken window panes. Oh, this one's a mess, she sighs. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit, I think that's supposed to be illicit, group that was producing snuff milius. Who would have guessed? That's exactly what this stream is. Story time with Mark. Okay, we'll have to think of some other... Does Twitch do that? Does Twitch do a section where they have like a story time section? I suppose it'd be IRL, would it? Where someone just reads out a book? I think that would be a great idea. Not necessarily for me, but just in general. Stuff like that was always popular on kids' TV. What's a snuff milieu? That's exactly what I was thinking, but didn't want to ask and show my ignorance. Trust me, you don't want to know. Actually, I do want to know. And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway, and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. Kind of cool, very cool about the debris, but what's a snuff milieu? It's a sub-Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it. I would never have guessed that. That is ridiculous. You've got Audible for that? Yeah, I suppose Audible's the thing now, isn't it? But there used to be a TV show in the UK called Jackanory. It was a kids show, and they'd have some famous, usually some celebrity reading out like a well-known story every week. And it would run over several episodes if it was a big story. And it used to be really popular. And then they made that for adults as well. And usually it was some sort of comedian reading out a comedy thing. That was a good idea. But yeah, I guess we've got Audible on Amazon now. Real murders and real victims. I'm on a radio station. That's weird. That's just weird. Nothing changes in her tone as she says that. It's as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world. What does she mean, to get off on it? I know what she means. Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-Rosas. The lieutenant turns to you. This isn't our problem. Yes, but it's good to know about it. Did someone here make stuffed animals? I saw a lot of mounts lying around. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. But what drugs exactly? I need to know what drugs he was doing for my police report. He got high in some weird taxidermy chemicals. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Eventually they caused him to lose control of his bladder. The smell was awful. Hang on, isn't urine useful to a taxidermist? Oh, no, I think it's more useful to a, what's the word? People that work with leather. Can't think of the word. It's used for curing leather, isn't it? Or could it be? Oh, I can't think of the word. A tanner. That's it. A tanner. Audible is awesome. You're listening to some fancy book right now. Second one of this author. You love it? Oh, it's cool. I used to, when I used to travel long distances away for archery competitions, I used to get a audio book out the library and on CD. But the trouble is they came on like 9 CDs or something and listened to them in the car on the way down. This was before Audible was really a viable option. And you had like smarter radios in cars where you could plug USB sticks and stuff in. Yeah, mannequins. I noticed creepy mannequins. There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I've forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years until the insect rights activists came. Insect rights activists? What in the name? The atelier produced a certain collection that used chitin made from the materials. Chitin? Chitin? I don't know how to pronounce that word. I've never known how to pronounce that word since I first came across it in Morrowind. Is it kitten, chitin, or shittin? Or is it shitin? I don't think it's shiting. That has other connotations altogether. Anyway, apparently, chitin, I'm going to take a guess, chitin, let's go with chitin, is made in the Occident where it's extracted from beetle wings. Oh, scaby, it's chitin? Is that how it's always hard to explain how something's pronounced via text, right? So, like chitin with a CH sound at the front. Yeah, is it? Right, cheers, thanks. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident? The activists shut down the biggest chitin suppliers, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. So an illegal chitin trade in insect parts. Interesting. And naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. I'm glad someone took care of the little guys. I like insects. Personally, I like insects. I like cool bugs and stuff. Yeah, they got what they deserved. Making clothes out of beetle wings is a terrible idea. Let's go with the I like insects one. Really? She looks at the windowsill where a dead fly is lying on his back, legs curled up in a bow tie. Anyway, what's the deal with the rotor blades and skis? Where were they? They were in another room when we came in here somewhere. They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on vacation with all their money. She rests her chin on her hand with an impish smile. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tallulah or Tiamatiri or Kashtkor or wherever he is. Interesting. What do these transmissions say? The usual, I imagine, that he's been thinking of all kinds of new business plans and can't wait to get started on them just as soon as he returns. Her smile widens before she sees the lieutenant's face behind you. What's his face? Men like that are a curse, the man instead. I think he's been conned by someone like that in the past. It's chitin? Timed for press? Is that how, like, chitin? Chitin. That's certainly another option. It sounds the most intelligent of the options. I guess I'd have to go on to, I don't know, Google, I suppose. They have it on there, don't they, where you can look up a word and it's got the pronunciation of it. You can play a record back. Might be a good idea at some point. Any more suggestions, though? Sure, but Slipstream is history now. All the remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I think we're slowly working the way down the list here. I saw a strange machine next to the blackboard in the main room. Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. Maybe I was just way off the mark with it being a resistance hub. Chitin. Should we go with chitin? We'll go for chitin now. Cheers. Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. She closes her eyes as some remnant of a memory lights up her face. They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once I even saw two of them got into fisticuffs over Wirral. They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules. What do you mean liberal? What happened? The usual, they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done in time. That sounds like a lot of people I know who've tried to make role-playing games. Usually just for fun and for their own group rather than a commercial interest, but same story. What went wrong? Well, I did hear them talking at times. She looks at the hallway as if she can still hear them chit-chat behind her curtains on a cigarette break. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest. She sounds almost mocking when she says that. From what I've seen so far, the project did look quite impressive. Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic and to show up to work on time. I guess they failed their will rolls. That's terrible. Showing up to work on time is hard. No, scratch that. Showing up to work at all is difficult, especially if you've been drinking. Shut up, my alcoholism. I don't need to hear from you. You're right. They should have just tried harder. They had everything needed to succeed. 5 XP. Still, not everyone is going to make it. She tosses a pair of dice on the table. One of them stops near the edge of the metallic desk. That's the nature of the game. The result is a 1 on a 20-sided dice. Is that a fixed dice? The dice is black and filled with a little silvery flakes like snowfall. I think I should pay attention to that one. That sounds like a loaded die. There was an ice cream company with a terrifying taxidermied bear in the cellar. Oh boy, the fabled Revachol Ice City. You're in for a treat here. This sounds like it's going to be a long story. She smiles and leans closer, hands on her knees like a stand-up comedian ready to tell a story. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now, ask me about their other ideas. Indeed, what were their other ideas? All right, what were the other ideas? There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighbourhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. I can see that's a good marketing move. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing. A bit like the girl in the fritter shop. She leans back, disapproving. Yeah, Fritter does the same thing. I know a girl just like that. She works in Fritter as a cashier and she's not particularly friendly. Employing sulky teenage girls is a widespread practice, yes. Unfortunately, they always come in packs. I'm talking about acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the shop. At least that's what happened with Revachol Ice City. Same old, same old. And they already had the bear. She closes her eyes if remembering something painful. What about the bear? The bear, she repeats, pressing thumbs into her temples like trying to suppress a headache. It didn't work out? Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Excuse me. That's not good news because we've got a body in that fridge at the moment. Different die will give you different bonuses on different rolls. Oh, is that a fact? Well, when I need these dice, I shall have to come pay attention to that. Cheers. Eventually, Revachol Ice City lost a price war to its rival, Glacé 5000. Glacé 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents apiece, out of regular fridges. It's the market doing its job. The bear was scary. Every time I saw that bear, I felt scared, like it could come alive at any moment. The taxidermist who made it said it was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. He called it Megatherian. Sounds cool. It does. Scary but cool. What's a vision beast? It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life by telling you to do more drugs, mostly. A wise and noble beast guiding you towards the land where the streets are paved with drugs. Yes. I don't have a comment on drugs. Understandable, you shouldn't do them, nods the dice maker. You're a police officer, after all. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire. She seems almost sad, finishing the story. Some dust beams swirl in the afternoon air. Her eyes follow it idly. Little sparkling embers under the window. Outside it's light. Light scatters from the low-hanging cloud cover. There's always the threat of snow. Anything else? Yes, I found the building's intercom, but seems like most of the doorbells are not working. Oh, right. She rubs her forehead. A scarf has left a faint line on her dusky skin. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I don't think we did. I don't think I saw one for a dice maker on there. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires. Sorry about the confusion. So you're telling me that you have a doorbell there. Which one? The one with an empty name card. It's the last one on the list. I do remember that. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work. I have a few more questions about the building. Actually, I had other questions. What do you know about the curse? I've heard the stories, she nods as the wind howls in from the furnace shaft above, but I don't think those stories are true. Plaisance is the one who sent me. She's convinced the place is swarming with malicious energies. Plaisance, the bookshop lady. She raises her brows. I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energies spared her somehow? I don't know why the bookstore hasn't gone bankrupt yet. That's what I'm here to investigate. All right, but it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in rags? Some people say it's part of the building complex. Wait, the whirling is part of the doomed commercial area? Yes, there's a door underneath it that I think might even lead underneath here. You could say so. Both houses were built at the same time under the East Delta Commerce Centre project. But it's still a separate building. The malicious energies can't reach there. And then there's me, she sighs, looking at her messy work table. All kinds of tools lie there scattered, from knives to carving flies to wire cut. Carving flies? What are carving flies? Never heard of those. I've been here for 14 years selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energies. Strange, isn't it? It's because she's in cahoots with the demons. Yes, we should exorcise her. Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse. Let's see, the curse will get to you. I'll be the first to admit there are many inconsistencies with this so-called curse. I want to say Placence thinks it's because you're the source of it. I'm going to say that. Malignant entity? What does that even mean? The dice maker laughs. Some kind of sorceress? What about you, officer? Do you think I'm the malignant entity? The jig is up. The she-demon knows you've uncovered her true identity. Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest. Honestly, I'm still not sure. This world is a puzzling place. I don't think I want to go down this route, do I? You enjoying the story so far? Good pan. Oh, here we go. I'm starting to see that there is no curse, only business decisions and natural market fluctuations. Exactly. She pinches the root of her nose. What is the root of your nose? Do you mean the bridge of your nose? Is the root of your nose here? I don't know. Truth is always so disappointingly mundane and boring. I've never heard it described as the root of your nose. Task updated. But I'm glad we got this sorted out. Anything else I can help you with today? Yes. Why hasn't her business failed? I'm not going to get that on 17%. And I might fail something, which I don't like doing. Yeah, what do you know about the man who was lynched behind the whirling in rags? Nothing really, I didn't know him. Lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window. Your window looks directly onto the courtyard, madam. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening? I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Do you often work Sunday nights? It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home. What do you mean by the daily ruckus? Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. She stops to try and come up with an example. During daytime, there are usually those kids, and lately I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging out. Must be because of the strike. She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire. We believe her, basically. And you never took your eyes off the work to look out of the window. I might have, she admits, but in this case, all I could have seen would have been my own reflection staring back from the darkness. It's light here, but dark in the yard at night. Yeah, but they wouldn't have done it they couldn't have tied someone up to a tree in pitch blackness. It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone. I see. Thank you for your answers. More questions about the building. The intercom. No, we're going back. Let's try this. Why hasn't her business failed? I failed. I expect it to. You feel nothing. If anything, it's uncomfortably warm in here. Start taking off your clothes. You need to connect. No, let's leave it at that. I don't think that's going to connect with anyone. I'd like to order a die from you. Oh, God. Do you have any cursed dice? Extraordinary dice? I don't actually know what die I want. Just a normal die. What kind of die do you think fits my personality? Actually, I need more time to think about it. I'm not reading all that, because at some point we're going to need a die. And I'll come back and talk about it then. So, I didn't find my heraldic bird in the bookshop. We might still look at that. We need to send the victim's body to processing and wait until as late in the day as possible for that one. I'm going to open an apartment door, which we're working up towards. The special borscht. I need to look at that in the kitchen. So much to do. I need to find out about music. That's for later. Oh, and these are all tasks as well. Just on different days that we got them. I need to go and have a wash. I need to report back to Pleasance. Right, so that's what we need to do. And maybe she'll tell us more about this. Is this a dead end? Okay, I see. So, where the hell did we come in from, then? In here. Was it here? Alright. There's the gym that we failed. We need some weightlifting gloves. I can't inspect that, see if it's full of amphetamines or not. Can we? No. Shame. Okay. Let's go back to the bookshop and report in. God damn, for just like investigating an old building, there was an awful lot of work involved in that. How long have I been streaming? Yeah, it took us nearly an hour to get through that bit. Right, madam. Let me just put this torch away. Fags, booze, all the good stuff.
You're alive and well. Don't keep me waiting now. What's in there? In that dark sarcophagus?
The dark sarcophagus. Pause dramatically. Yes. How was it? Tell her how ghastly it was. You know, it's what she wants to hear. It was a charnel house of failed business enterprises leeching life energy from this bookstore. Honestly, a dump. Nothing to see. Let's go for the charnel house of failed business enterprises. I knew it. A tremor runs through her. Oh, such horrors that have been thrust upon us. She shakes her head. But what else did you find? Did anything survive? No, of course not. Have you located the entity? I talked to the entity you told me about. Her name is Naya, and she's a novelty dice maker. A novelty dice maker? Her eyes widen. Well, spit it out. Why does she need the dice? For some kind of sorcery? Sometimes they use the ankle bones of sheep. She's not a sorceress or some malicious entity. She's a businesswoman like you. She looks perplexed. I don't understand. If it's not her, then where is the source of the doom? How did she explain the curse? She's squeezing on the pendant too tight, a drop of blood in her palm. Ooh, she's serious about this. Just don't say you don't have any answer yet. The uncertainty is killing her. Lie. The source is in the taxidermist shop. He became involved in arts darker than taxidermy and brought the void spirit. Okay. Honestly, I don't have an answer yet. There are still leads to be followed, like that strange radio computer thing. That's true, but I'm told I'm not supposed to say that. But I can come and I can look that up myself. She says there is no curse because there are too many inconsistencies. The woman scoffs at you with an audible snort. Too many inconsistencies? What kind of talk is that? Good luck persuading her. Some people can rationalise anything. Well, first, you're one of the inconsistencies.